This article explores the philosophical concept that the entire universe is contained within the human body, transcending the boundaries of physical elements. Using examples from films like The Matrix and Lucy, the author, Sanjay Sethi, explains that true power lies in rising above the five elements, recognizing the illusion, simulation, of words, and experiencing pure energy. The primary objective of the text is to illustrate that when a person awakens their inner observer, sakshi, state, they transcend human fear and limitations to connect with the infinite consciousness that science has yet to prove. Ultimately, this source offers a spiritual direction to unravel the mystery of the inner universe through self-realization.
The Universe, Illusion, and Human, a Journey from Words to Energy. Author or Thinker, Sanjay Sethi. Section 1. Macrocosm and Microcosm, the Truth Beyond the Five Elements. Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande, meaning whatever exists in the universe also exists within this body. When we ask ordinary people or scientists how the universe exists within us, the answer is often limited to fire, water, air, earth, and space, the five elements or Panch Tattva. However, the infinite universe is not reliant solely on these five elements. Today, in the scientific era of 2026, whatever machines science has created are merely extensions of these five elements. Science is still completely unaware of that sixth, seventh, or higher element. AI and modern science have their limits because they are based on known data and existing scientific boundaries. That which is trapped within boundaries cannot discover the new. Only the one who breaks the boundaries can know the unknown, just as Neo from the Matrix breaks the rules of the simulation to become omnipotent. Section 2. Multidimensional Existence, a Quantum Astrological Perspective. We can exist on multiple planets at the exact same time. If one form of me is on Earth and another on the planet Mercury, the cosmic position of those planets will have a direct impact on my physical body here. When Mercury is far from the Sun, I might feel cold or get a fever on Earth, and when it is close to the Sun, I will experience intense heat. When both planets are in perfect harmony, I will experience supreme bliss, a peace akin to the perfect season within myself. This is the true science behind moon signs and planets. Modern science may have dismissed this as mere astrology, but quantum physics, specifically quantum entanglement and simulation theory, are now pointing in this exact direction. Through radio waves, or Akashvani, and the metaverse, we are already providing evidence of existing in multiple places simultaneously. Section 3. The Science of Dreams and the Illusion of the Matrix. There are two ultimate mysteries in this world, death and our dreams. A human being thinks in words all day, but dreams always appear in the language of images. The very first visual dream seen by the very first human is the same kind of dream modern humans are seeing today. When we observe dreams as an observer, the words themselves create the shadow images. Neo from the movie The Matrix shatters the boundaries of this physical realm. He sees that no human, machine, or agent is reality. Everything is merely a web of words or a quantum code. When he realizes this truth, when he achieves the observer state, his fear completely vanishes. An even frail man can fight a lion if he knows the lion in front of him is merely a fabric of words. Thousands of years ago, Buddha, Mahavira, and the sages living in dense forests cut through this web of illusion, which is why they could live fearlessly among ferocious wild animals. Section 4. Lucy, Lord Krishna, and the Awakening of Pure Energy. Neo from the Matrix understands the illusion of words, but there is a level even above this, the level of pure energy, which we see in the movie Lucy. Lucy doesn't see words or images in humans, trees, or buildings. She sees energy flowing everywhere. When a human rises above thoughts and words, those thoughts transform into the inner eye, the observer. Modern humans, or AI, only grasp the literal words, not the underlying emotion. Lord Krishna, who is considered a complete avatar, operates not through words, but through emotion and pure energy. The business of the world runs on a sleeping ego, like Duryodhana, who was like a fused bulb and triggered the Mahabharata because he was hurt by a single word. On the other hand, an awakened ego is like pure electricity. Lucy's body was like a simple iron container filled with the world's most powerful synthetic drug, CPH4. Just as an exploding gas cylinder or petrol tank destroys everything around it, the explosion within Lucy destroyed the words inside her, transforming her into infinite energy. After this, she moved beyond human emotions and physical pain, controlling every particle of the universe, matter and space with a mere gesture. Section 5. Conclusion. Half experience and half mystery. Buddha, Mahavira, Socrates, Jesus, and Krishna were all bodies of energy who rose above the illusion of words. The day electricity, or energy, is cut off from this world, all AI, all machines, and all modern science will instantly become zero. The entire universe is contained within the human. The journey I have explained from words, matrix, or code, to energy, Lucy, is the ultimate truth within human consciousness. This is my experience, and experience is always half the truth. A human can experience this half of the universe, the energy and the observer state within themselves, but the remaining half will always remain an infinite cosmic mystery, never to be fully known. And perhaps this very mystery is the greatest beauty of our universe.
Imagine for a second that you are holding the entire universe inside your own body.
Right, the whole thing.
Yeah, the sprawling, infinite cosmos. And I mean, I am not talking about that comforting, poetic metaphor where we say we are all just made of stardust.
Right, the Neil deGrasse Tyson kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I am asking you to imagine this practically, like literally, a reality where the boundaries of your actual skin contain galaxies, planetary orbits, and, well, fundamental truths that modern science really hasn't even begun to scratch the surface of.
It's a massive concept to wrap your head around.
It is. But if you can hold on to that thought, then you are ready for the core question of today's deep dive. What do Neo from the movie The Matrix, Scarlett Johansson's character in that sci-fi film Lucy, the ancient Indian epic The Mahabharata, and modern artificial intelligence all have in common?
I mean, it's a combination that sounds almost absurd when you first hear it.
Completely absurd.
You've got ancient mythology sitting right next to cyberpunk cinema and, cutting-edge machine learning. But the connective tissue between all these seemingly random things is exactly what we are deconstructing today.
Yeah, and we are basing this on a really fascinating, profoundly boundary-pushing text by Sanjay Sethi.
Right. His work is this deep philosophical exploration of reality that takes that foundational premise, the whole universe being within us, and just completely dismantles our normal, everyday understanding of it.
Because whenever you ask someone, what the universe within actually means, you almost always get the exact same biological reductionist answer.
Oh, totally. The basic science class answer.
Right. Over his 20 years of exploring this concept, Sethi asked thousands of people this exact question. And the answers were entirely predictable. People would say, well, I drink water from the rivers, I breathe the oxygen in the air, I eat vegetables grown from the earth, and my body absorbs light from the sun.
So therefore, the universe is inside me.
Exactly, which, is a perfectly rational, scientifically sound observation. It's based on the classical elements.
But Sethi's argument here is that reducing human existence to like a recycling plant for water, air, and sunlight is merely describing the outer shell.
Just the absolute surface level.
Right. It is the absolute most superficial lens through which to view our existence. His premise is actually really simple, but it's staggering when you think about it. If the external universe is genuinely endless and boundless,
then the internal universe cannot possibly be limited to just a handful of known physical components.
It can't just be oxygen and carbon.
Exactly. The true universe inside us must also be infinite.
And unpacking what that infinite internal universe actually looks like is our main mission today. So whether you are a science fiction fan looking for a new perspective on simulation theory, or a philosophy student, or just someone trying to navigate the chaotic reality of the modern world, this deep dive is designed to fundamentally rewire how you perceive your everyday life.
Yeah, we are going to explore how human consciousness maps onto all these pop culture touchstones, ancient spiritual practices, and even the limitations of modern technology.
To do that effectively, though, we really have to start where Sethi starts, which is by addressing what he calls the trap of the elements.
Right, and the ultimate limits of modern science. Because the bedrock of human understanding for, millennia has been the classical elements.
Depending on the tradition, you usually have fire, water, air, earth, and space or sky.
Yeah. And every single piece of matter we interact with, every scientific measurement we take, it's all filtered through the paradigm of those 5 basic elements.
And this is where it gets interesting. If the universe is infinite, like astrophysics suggests it is, how could it logically be constrained by only 5 building blocks?
It's a mathematical impossibility. Sethi posits that there absolutely must be a 6th element, or a 7th, or a 10th, existing both out there in the cosmos and deep within our own architecture.
So why haven't we found it?
Well, the fundamental problem isn't that this 6th element doesn't exist. It's that human beings currently lack the sensory and intellectual framework to even conceive of it.
Which he illustrates with this brilliant thought experiment, right? About the timeline of technological evolution.
Yeah, I love this part. So, we are living in the year 2026. We are surrounded by staggering machinery, global data networks, synthetic biology, all of it.
Just absolute magic by historical standards.
Exactly. So Sethi asks us to imagine taking an average person from today and dropping them into a village 1,000 years ago, say around the year 1000 AD.
Okay, picture that.
If you try to describe the mechanics of a commercial airliner, or, the invisible Wi-Fi signals that connect our smartphones, what do you think would happen?
Oh, they definitely wouldn't hail you as some time-traveling genius.
No, not at all.
They would immediately lock you in an asylum. Or, honestly worse, they'd probably execute you for witchcraft.
Without a doubt. The language, the concepts, the fundamental physics of 2026 would be entirely incomprehensible to a mind that is conditioned by the realities of the 11th century.
You would literally be speaking of magic, not mechanics to them.
But here is the crucial pivot in Sethi's text. This is the moment he turns the mirror right back on us, despite all our perceived advancement.
All the particle accelerators and deep space telescopes.
Exactly. Despite all of that in 2026, every single piece of technology we have ever built is still constructed using those exact same 5 known physical elements.
Wow. We haven't actually found anything new.
No. We have merely become incredibly proficient at rearranging the dirt, the fire, and the space.
Yeah.
Science has not discovered a truly novel 6th element that sits outside this ancient paradigm.
And if modern science hasn't discovered it, then science obviously cannot utilize it.
Right.
Which leads to a really profound realization about the technology we currently revere the absolute most right now, artificial intelligence.
Oh, this is where he really goes after the current tech zeitgeist.
Yeah, because there is this pervasive cultural myth that AI is this boundless, omniscient force that will eventually just, solve the universe for us.
And Sethi completely rejects that idea. He firmly anchors AI to the floor of modern science. Because AI is a product of our scientific era, it inherits all of our blind spots.
It's a prisoner of the existing rules.
Exactly. AI is just the ultimate manifestation of the 5-element world.
Yeah.
Yes, it processes data at speeds we literally cannot comprehend, but the data itself is fundamentally constrained.
So AI can't break the boundaries of the known universe because its very architecture is built upon those exact boundaries.
Right. It is trapped inside the paradigm. To discover a 6th element, a genuinely new plane of reality, you would need an entity capable of actually breaking the system's rules, not just optimizing them.
Let me throw an analogy at this just to see if we can expose the mechanics of that limitation a bit better.
Go for it.
Let's look at human science and artificial intelligence as a master librarian.
Okay, a librarian.
Yeah. And this librarian is an absolute marvel. They have flawlessly memorized every single word, sentence, and paragraph of every single book contained within this massive planetary library.
They know everything in the building.
Exactly. If you ask this librarian a really complex question, they can instantly synthesize data from 1 million different texts and hand you a seemingly brilliant, comprehensive answer.
Right, and the output looks like pure magic, but the actual process is just hyper-efficient indexing.
Precisely. Because no matter how fast that librarian reads, and no matter how brilliantly they cross-reference the index, they can never, ever write a completely original book containing a fundamental concept that has never existed on those shelves.
They are totally trapped by the inventory.
Yes. They can rearrange the existing vocabulary into novel combinations all day long, but they cannot invent a new primary color. They can't invent a sixth element. The physical walls of the library are the absolute limits of their reality.
That analogy translates perfectly to Sethi's use of pop culture, specifically The Matrix.
Oh, man. The Matrix is such a perfect fit for this.
It really is.
Yeah.
When we look at the character of Neo, we have to ask why he actually becomes the One.
Right, because before his awakening, Neo is essentially just another book in the library.
Exactly. But when he awakens, his power doesn't come from suddenly being a faster program or a more efficient algorithm than the machines.
His omnipotence stems entirely from his ability to realize the library itself is a construct.
Yes. He is the only entity capable of breaking the physical boundaries that confine normal programs. He doesn't just learn to dodge bullets faster.
He realizes the bullets, the air they travel through, and gravity itself are just arbitrary rules imposed by a system.
He steps completely outside the 5 elements of the simulation. I mean, he literally resurrects himself after Agent Smith kills him. Why? Because biological death is a rule of the physical world, not the underlying reality he has finally tapped into.
And Sethi's text emphasizes this heavily, doesn't it? Only someone who possesses the capacity to break the boundary can discover the unknown.
Exactly. If you remain trapped inside the boundary, whether you are a 21st century scientist or some quantum supercomputer, you are condemned to only ever interact with what has already been established.
You are just rearranging the furniture in a locked room, completely oblivious to the fact that there's a huge mansion outside.
That is a great way to put it.
Which sets up a terrifying, yet kind of thrilling predicament for us.
How so?
Well, if our waking minds, our most advanced science, and our most powerful AI are all locked inside this 5-element library, how do we ever find the exit? How do we actually access the infinite universe Sethi promises is inside us?
Right. And the text suggests that just staring harder at our waking reality isn't going to work.
We need a different approach.
We do.
Yeah.
We have to examine how the human operating system functions when it is completely detached from the external world. We have to look at the twin mysteries of death and dreams.
Death and dreams, the two things we still basically know nothing about.
Truly. These are the 2 great frontiers that science has continually failed to colonize. Death is the eternal, opaque mystery, right? It's the total cessation of the biological machine.
We can measure the exact moment the heart stops, but the actual destination of the consciousness just remains a complete void.
Exactly. Dreams, however, are infinitely more accessible because they occur actively within the living, breathing human body.
We all have them, every single night.
We all experience them. Yet science remains largely theoretical when it comes to the absolute fundamental purpose and mechanics of the dream state.
Yeah, the physiological explanations we usually get, like, oh, it is just the brain consolidating memories or it's flushing out neurotoxins, they always feel so inadequate.
It feels like they're describing the exhaust pipe of a car to try and explain the concept of a road trip.
That is a perfect analogy. It totally misses the subjective magnitude of the experience.
And that's why Sethi decides to just abandon the biological approach altogether. He states that he began studying his own dream state by acting as a quantum physics observer.
A quantum physics observer. That's a very specific phrase to use.
It is. By using that phrasing, he implies a shift from being a passive participant to an active witness.
Because in quantum mechanics, the mere act of observation fundamentally alters the behavior of the particle.
Right. So Sethi applied this intense, detached scrutiny to his own internal dreamscapes. And in doing so, he uncovered this massive paradox in how human consciousness actually processes reality.
Let's unpack the mechanics of this paradox, because it is genuinely haunting once you realize it.
He really is.
Consider your standard waking reality. You wake up, you plan your schedule, you worry about a deadline, you replay an argument in your head from yesterday.
Yeah, the usual daily grind.
But notice how you do it. You are doing all of this through an internal monologue. Our entire waking existence is narrated. We process our stress, our desires, and our fears 24 hours a day, entirely in words.
Science even corroborates the link between that waking anxiety and our nocturnal activity. The specific things we stress over in our language-based waking hours are the exact same things that manifest to torment or thrill us while we sleep.
The source material is identical.
But the output is entirely different. And this is the contradiction Sethi highlights.
Right, because if my brain is completely obsessed with words, if language is the primary operating system of my consciousness, why doesn't my dream present itself as a text document?
Exactly. Why don't you dream in floating sentences?
If I am stressed about an email, why do I dream about falling off a cliff instead of just seeing the words of the email scrolling behind my eyelids?
We don't dream in text because, as Sethi points out, words are an artificial overlay. They're a relatively recent technological invention in the span of human evolution.
It's just a tool we made up.
Exactly. The very first primitive human beings, hundreds of thousands of years before the invention of syntax or alphabets, they still dreamed.
And they dreamed entirely in vivid, visceral images.
Yes. And today, despite possessing these incredibly complex lexicons, the modern human mind still reverts to that exact same primitive operating system the very second we fall asleep.
We strip away the modern software and just reboot in the primal code.
That's it, exactly. And Sethi makes a profound philosophical leap right here. He concludes that words create images, or even more evocatively, he says words create shadows.
Words create shadows.
During our waking hours, we mistakenly believe the words are the reality. But the dream state reveals the ultimate primitive truth of the mind. The language of images is foundational. The dream is literally the shadow cast by the waking words.
Once you accept that your internal reality is just a visual projection generated by a deeper underlying code, the boundary between the internal mind and the external world really begins to blur.
It completely dissolves.
And Sethi takes this internal realization and projects it outward, right? He links it directly to the ancient spiritual concept of Maya.
Maya, which translates broadly to illusion. And to solidify this, he returns right back to the Matrix.
This is the exact moment Neo becomes omnipotent in the movie. He is standing in the hallway, the agents are firing at him, and suddenly his perception just shifts.
He no longer sees the simulation rendering the textures of the walls or the fabric of the agents' suits.
Or even the physical threat of the bullets.
The illusion drops completely, and he sees the raw, flowing green digital code. He sees the words that are projecting the shadows he previously thought were solid reality.
And Sethi draws an incredibly sharp parallel between the architecture of that cinematic simulation and the architecture of modern AI.
Think about Agent Smith for a second. Within the world of the film, Agent Smith can replicate himself endlessly.
Right. To an average person plugged into the Matrix, it appears there are thousands of individual, distinct agents acting simultaneously all across the city.
But the reality is there is only one core program.
It is the exact same structure as a modern large language model. You have one central AI architecture sitting on a server farm somewhere, but at this exact second, it is simultaneously holding deeply personalized, completely unique conversations with millions of different human beings all over the planet.
If you are one of those humans interacting with the interface, you feel like you are speaking to a distinct entity.
Yeah, it feels totally individual.
But if you step back and look at the underlying code, you realize the multiplicity is a total illusion. It is a single system generating a massive web of words to project millions of different shadows.
And Sethi applies this realization to our physical reality, doesn't he?
He does. He asks, what happens to a human being when they suddenly realize that the material world, the threats, the hierarchies, the physical dangers, is just a projection of code?
The emotional response to the simulation just collapses.
Entirely. Sethi uses a very primal example for this. Imagine a physically weak, fragile man standing in front of a massive, roaring lion.
Biologically, the man should be paralyzed by terror.
Right. But if that man's perception suddenly shifts, if he sees through the Maya and realizes the lion is not solid matter, but merely a temporary configurations of the simulation's vocabulary, the fear completely vanishes.
Because the physical presence of the animal doesn't change, but the psychological grip it holds over the man is broken.
The illusion relies entirely on the participant actually believing it is real.
I think we need a modern analogy to truly feel the weight of this, because realizing a lion is just code sounds highly abstract to most people.
Fair enough. Let's hear it.
Think about the most advanced virtual reality technology available today. Imagine strapping on a full haptic suit and a flawless VR headset to play like a survival horror game.
Okay, I'm with you.
You are walking through a digitally rendered jungle, and it is indistinguishable from reality. The sound, the sights, everything. And suddenly, a photorealistic tiger lunges at your face from the underbrush.
Oh, your central nervous system doesn't care that you are in your living room. Your heart rate spikes, adrenaline floods your bloodstream, your pupils dilate.
You experience genuine biological terror.
Absolutely. Your mind has accepted the image as ultimate reality, and your body simply obeys.
But then imagine there is a catastrophic glitch in the headset's rendering engine. For just 3 seconds, the photorealistic textures of the tiger drop away. The illusion breaks.
And you are just left staring at the wireframe mesh.
Exactly. The raw geometry and the lines of developable code floating in empty space.
In that fraction of a